Dignity and Ellis Harsham, Part 1. There's no such thing as an ex-priest. Good morning, and may God's peace be with you. My name is Bishop Laura Grimes, and this is the first in a series of videos about the case of Father Ellis Harsham. Harsham has served as a priest at Dignity Dayton, also known as Living Beatitudes Community, for the last 10 years. Father Harsham was suspended from ministry as a Roman Catholic priest by the Archdiocese of Cincinnati in 1994 after multiple credible allegations of sexual misconduct with teens, children, and adults. One of these allegations, unlawful sexual conduct with a child who would have been at most age 15, was substantiated during investigation but not reported to local authorities. This despite the fact that such behavior is not just a sin, but a crime, and Harsham belongs on Ohio's official registry of sexual offenders. The only reason he is not on it is that the statute of limitations has expired. Efforts to ensure the safety of Ohio's children by extending the statute of limitations have thus far been defeated, largely due to the lobbying of the Roman Catholic Church. Father Harsham has confessed to another of the allegations, giving pornography to a 17-year-old boy named Stephen Cook, who also claimed that Harsham molested him. I was told by Dignity Dayton leadership on Palm Sunday, 2011, that both they and Dignity National President Mark Matson knew that Harsham admitted giving the boy pornography. Yet they believed his denial of the physical molestation and were happy to give him access to children, teens, and young adults in their most trusted and honored position of leadership. Pam Dolans, president of the board of Dignity Dayton, and the other board members, including Ellis's friends, Father Tom Stricker and Father Dick Young, refused to suspend him from his priestly ministry. They also refused to be truthful about the allegations against him with the communities of Living Beatitudes, of Christ Episcopal Church, in whose basement they hold services, and whose teens and children are also at risk, and with the entire Dayton community. Upon learning these horrifying facts, I turned to the news media in Dayton in the hopes that public attention would force Dignity Dayton and Dignity USA to carry out their duty to protect young people, especially the children of gay and lesbian families. You may have seen my interview with WDTN the evening of Palm Sunday, or read the groundbreaking article in the Dayton Daily News. Unfortunately, the article contains some cleverly phrased misinformation on the parts of both Dignity Dayton Living Beatitudes leadership and Dignity USA President Mark Matson. This series of videos will analyze and explain each manipulative or outright dishonest statement by Dignity leadership about this priestly ministry that Ellis Harsham carries out and desecrates to this day. The article is titled, "Ex-Priest Tied to Child Sexual Abuse Case Resigns Post with Local Church Group." Sounds like a happy ending, right? Father Harsham is gone from Dignity Dayton's worship and social activities and from Christ Episcopal Church's premises, so the children and members and visitors of Dignity Dayton and Christ Episcopal Church are safe. Unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth. Ellis Harsham continues to serve as a priest at Dignity Dayton, and he continues to have extensive access, unsupervised, to the children of Dignity Dayton and Christ Episcopal Church before, during, and after Sunday services, as well as occasional weekday services and social events, like last week's well-attended Holy Thursday Passover Seder. Let's begin our analysis with the first words in the article's title, ex-priest. Let me be absolutely clear. In Catholic theology, There is no such thing as an ex-priest. The headline might as well read, "Purple Cow resigns from post with local church group," or "Little Green Man resigns post with local church group." I repeat, there is no such thing as an ex-Catholic priest. This is why it is only the newspaper reporter who calls Father Harsham an ex-priest. Dan Andriaco, spokesperson for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Cincinnati, instead says only, in a shameful attempt to deny their responsibility for the suffering of victims to this day, "We have no authority over him." This is because Mr. Andriaco and his boss, Archbishop Dennis Schnurr, and his boss's boss, Pope Benedict XVI, know perfectly well that according to Catholic sacramental theology, Father Ellis Harsham is a priest forever according to the line of Melchizedek, in the words of the Epistle to the Hebrews. Just as the consecrated bread and wine do not cease to be the body and blood of Christ when Mass is over, a priest who has undergone the legal fiction of laicization or defrocking is still a priest. Dismissal from the clerical state brings the loss of the customary privilege of performing priestly duties, but does not mean that any sacraments celebrated are invalid. In fact, a laicized priest is specifically required under canon law to anoint and hear the confession of anyone in danger of death. Ellis Harsham may be a grossly sinful priest, a deeply wounded priest, and/or a priest who has brought profound disgrace upon his office. Only God knows his heart. But since he was validly ordained by a bishop in apostolic succession, he will never be, in the eyes of God and the Roman Catholic Church, an ex-priest. Nor is Ellis Harsham an ex-priest in the eyes of Dignity USA and Dignity Dayton Living Beatitudes community. In his own eyes, or most dangerously, in the eyes of the children of the Dignity Dayton community. For 10 years, Ellis Harsham has celebrated Mass roughly once a month, alternating with several other male priests ordained by the Roman Catholic Church who now minister outside its institutional boundaries. One of these priests normally serves as the main presider who leads each Mass, assisted by one or two lay co-presiders. These men are sometimes addressed as Father, and I heard Ellis Harsham refer to himself with this term when he celebrated Mass on the Feast of Christ the King on November 21st, 2010. He is clearly recognized by the community as such, including my children. They and the children of Christ Episcopal Church upstairs remain in danger because Harsham, even after supposedly resigning, is still allowed to serve as a co-presider as well as carry out every official ministry in the community. For instance, cantering the 22nd Psalm last week during the Palm Sunday liturgy. These children, and most adults outside Dignity Dayton, have no way of understanding the technicality of Harsham's so-called resignation from the so-called post of, quote, Eucharistic presider, end quote. This will be the subject of part 2. Until then, please join me in prayer for true justice and true healing for a wounded man, a wounded community, and all the victims who carry anguished memories of a double betrayal, first by a trusted priest and teacher, and then by the hierarchy which covered up his abuse. Dignity Dayton and Dignity USA, live the Beatitudes, tell the truth.